What's going on, everyone? I'm an NBA fan who, like many fans, has grown more and more frustrated with NBA officiating. I've loved the NBA for a long time, but the officiating has severely diminished my enjoyment of the game. I wanted to make a video that attempts to answer why officiating has gotten so bad and provide a solution on how to make it better. The officiating in the Rockets Warriors series has been pretty bad, especially in Game 1, so it's a good series to look at. I know the landing zone on jump shots has been a big issue of contention, but that's been talked about to death and is something the NBA just needs to find a consistent ruling on and stick with. There were so many other examples of terrible officiating that are kind of getting overlooked, so I'm going to be focusing on those. So, what exactly is the issue with the officiating? Well, to me, there are quite a few issues, but they all stem from one cause, and this is the main point of the video. The cause of all these issues is that referees call way too many fouls. It's that simple. They call touch fouls at the top of the key. They call fouls when there's really good defense, then maybe just a little bit of contact. And then worst of all, they just call fouls when they don't even exist. They're just ghost calls. So overall, way too many foul calls. Now, this isn't to say that refs should swallow their whistles if they see an obvious foul. Refs need to enforce the rules. And I understand they have a very tough, almost impossible job, but there are far too many instances of refs calling fouls when they shouldn't. So for me, I see three big issues that come from excessive foul calling. Number one is that when refs are calling lots of fouls, it just makes the game less fun to watch. More shooting fouls means more free throws. More non-shooting fouls means the teams get to the bonus quicker, and that again means more free throws. I don't know about you, but free throws just aren't fun to watch. More fouls also means that players who play more minutes, usually the stars, the players you want to see play, are more likely to get in foul trouble. Issue number two is that excessive foul calling means that players are going to expect more fouls. This incentivizes players to bait refs and draw fouls instead of trying to actually play basketball and get the ball in the hoop. And I don't blame players for this. If you're a player and know that refs are calling a lot of fouls, it's smart to try and draw fouls. It's what a lot of players are doing these days. But if refs were to call fewer fouls, players wouldn't expect as many calls. This would, take away some of that baiting and lead to better basketball, and would also take away some of this whining and complaining and all of these technicals. But because refs call so many fouls, anytime a player gets contact when he's shooting, he's going to complain. Issue number three, and this is the big one that drives fans, players, and coaches crazy. Excessive fouls just leads to inconsistent officiating. Refs trying to call every single little foul actually decreases their accuracy. The scope of what refs consider a foul is so large that they make it impossible for themselves to be consistent and accurate. The more fouls they call, the more likely it is that they're calling fouls that don't exist. Calling more fouls also adds pressure to get every call right. This is why when refs don't call an obvious foul, it's so infuriating. You're calling 40 fouls per game. How did you not see this? How did you not get that one right? So if refs were to call fewer fouls overall, a missed call here or there wouldn't be so frustrating. Alright, now let's get into some of these really bad calls from Game 1. I'll probably review Game 2 in another video. So this is probably my least favorite call of the entire game. Capela's playing defense on Durant. Capela sticks at his left hand. And Durant just raises into Capela's hand and draws contact on a three-point shot. So Durant gets 3 free throws here. Was there contact? Yes, but Durant is the one who rises up into Capela's hand. I think the refs just got to swallow their whistles here. This should just be a no call. There's just not enough contact. And if they say, okay, well, that affected Durant's shots, that's Durant's problem. He's the one who raised up into Capela's hand that was already in the space. It just shouldn't be a foul call. Here's another one that's just completely egregious. CP3 has the ball and just swings his hands into Klay Thompson and gets a foul call for literally no reason. And the Rockets are in the bonus here, so they're going to get free throws. And there's 5 minutes left in the fourth, so this is a big call. There's just nothing here to call a foul. I don't know what Klay is supposed to do. And if anything, just give the Rockets the ball on the out-of-bounds call and let the Rockets maintain possession. But there's just nothing here to call a foul. Now, we could blame CP3 here for flailing his arms and selling the call, but it's actually smart basketball. Because Durant did the same thing a minute earlier and got the foul call. Shumpert's playing defense on Durant, and Durant just swings his arm into Shumpert and throws the ball out of bounds. And the refs call a foul, and his team's in the bonus, so this is smart basketball. If the refs are going to call this, this is a good basketball play, and this is why I blame the refs. They're incentivizing this kind of play. I'd much rather see Kevin Durant drive to the hoop and Shumpert play defense instead of Kevin Durant just going to the line for free throws. I'm now going to talk about fouls that don't get that much attention, and these are these off-ball fouls that just don't need to be called. You'll see Iman Shumpert trying to kind of front Durant here and prevent him from getting the ball. Durant gets the ball cleanly, but the refs still call a foul. I mean, there's contact, but there's very little. These are NBA players in a playoff game. This contact should be allowed. These fouls just help teams get to the bonus quicker and put people in foul trouble. It's just useless. Here's one that I'd much rather see be called a no call. You have Durant trying to fight through a screen and he gets called for a foul. Now, if anything, I think the foul was on House because he sets the pick and then moves with Durant in front of Harden. So it could be a moving pick. But like I said, a no call is a better outcome where Harden has the ball, Durant's playing defense, and there's no stoppage in the game and there's no extra foul. Like, yeah, there is contact on this play, but not all contact needs to be called as a foul. Now let's talk about calls when players drive to the basket. This is when I think refs get it wrong the most. It's like they see any sort of contact and have to blow their whistles. Of course, contact needs to exist for a foul to exist, but the inverse isn't true. Just because there's contact doesn't mean there has to be a foul. Now, Curry gets bumped here a little bit, but this is Curry drawing the contact. He steps in front of Harden hoping for the bump in order to get the foul. I'd much rather see this be a no call, and then in the future maybe Curry drives to the rim. He's such a great finisher. I'd just rather see that. Here's a foul on a drive to the basket where I think the refs just punish good defense. Curry stays in front of Gordon here. Gordon kind of lowers his shoulder into Curry's chest, so yeah, there is contact, but that contact is initiated by Gordon, and Curry stays in front of him. And then Curry does go for the ball, but he looks to get all ball here. I don't really see where there's a foul. This would be a great no call. Here's a very similar play at the start of the second half where Gordon just drives into Curry, and Curry plays good defense here but is called for a foul. It's just one of these instances where refs see contact and they say, okay, this has to be a charge or it has to be a block. In reality, it's neither. It's just an offensive player driving and a defensive player playing good defense and keeping the guy in front of him. So what if there's contact? There doesn't need to be a foul. Here's one where Klay is driving on PJ Tucker, and this is going to sound like a broken record, but PJ Tucker plays great defense. He keeps Klay in front of him. He reaches for the ball and gets all ball. There just isn't a foul here. This is early in the third quarter, and it might seem harmless, but we'll see that PJ Tucker gets into foul trouble later. So this one, Curry drives in and gets the bump from House, and they call a foul. This is one where the offensive player is initiating the contact. House is backing up with his hands up. I'm not sure what you want him to do. I do admit there is contact, but it doesn't need to be a foul. This is a play in which I think Harden really had no intention of blowing by Curry and getting to the rim. He just wanted to lean into Curry, get contact, go backward, and shoot, and that's exactly what he does, and the refs call a foul. There is contact there, but I don't think it's enough to call a foul. The only thing might be if Curry swiped and got his arm, but it looks like either Curry whiffs or gets all ball. On the initial bump, that really shouldn't be called a foul, and because the refs keep calling it, Harden's going to keep using this practice. Here's yet another one in which the offensive player initiates contact, yet the defender is called with the foul. I'm not sure what Gerald Green's supposed to do here. Kevin Durant just dribbles into him and then takes an off-balance shot. Now, I don't think Kevin Durant will shoot this if refs aren't calling this a foul, so refs just need to not blow the whistle and let this be a no call. Here we go again. Harden's driving and bumps into Kevon Looney, and Looney's actually trying to get out of the way, you can see. And then Harden reaches and hooks Looney's arm. So there is a lot of contact, but of course they call it on the defensive player, even though it's all initiated by the offensive player. Here's a beautiful drive by Eric Gordon, but it should not have been an and one opportunity. It's a great drive, but look, Eric Gordon just bumps into McKinney and then bumps into Looney. It's kind of laughable. You can see him going out of his way to get the contact. These just shouldn't be fouls. If you're getting tired of me saying the same thing over and over, that's kind of the point of the video. There are so many instances of these calls that just don't need to be made, and this is only one game. Here you'll see Klay play really good defense on Harden, and there is contact, but this is just good defense. There does not need to be a foul call here. I'm now going to go over two instances in which the refs kind of just took over the game in the fourth quarter. One of them is here with about 8 minutes and 20 seconds left, where there's an air ball, and somehow Iguodala gets called for the foul here. I'm not sure how. It's just PJ Tucker goes for the ball and then falls on Iguodala. Now, I'm not saying it's a foul on Tucker, but it definitely shouldn't be a foul on Iggy. It's just the refs blowing whistles because they see contact. 2 seconds later, Curry gets called for his fifth foul when he cleanly knocks the ball out of Chris Paul's hands. And I know the refs don't have replay, but it's like their default position is that a player must have committed a foul. It's just unnecessary. Houston's going to get the ball out of bounds anyway if they don't call a foul. It's just them inserting themselves into the game when they don't need to, and now Curry has 5 fouls. So that's back-to-back foul calls on this possession with just a few seconds, and obviously the Warriors weren't happy about this. And then Harden drives in, and boom, another foul is called. That's the third foul in like 15 seconds on one possession. It just feels like the refs are inserting themselves and letting the players know that we have control and we have power, which it just shouldn't be the case. This isn't a foul whatsoever. Harden again clearly initiates the contact. This is a good defense by Iggy, and he gets stuffed by Kevon Looney cleanly. These just can't be fouls, and the refs are just making a point that they have control. A few minutes later, there's a really bad missed flop call here. Draymond flops when PJ Tucker is just fighting through a screen and they bump into each other. It just shouldn't be a foul, and the Rockets are rightfully upset with this call. And them being upset with this call is what I think leads to the next call. And this is the problem. The refs are inserting themselves in the game, trying to let the players know that they have power and control. A few seconds later on the same possession, KD drives, and I don't even know what happens here. I can't even say that Nene bumped KD. Maybe Nene grazed KD's thigh, but this just can't be a foul. And it really feels like the refs are just retaliating at the Rockets and that they're imposing their will. Alright, so those are all the fouls I had a problem with in Game 1. While I wrap things up, here are some examples of really good officiating from this game. These are examples of when there's a lot of contact and the refs didn't call a foul, and this is what I'd like to see more of throughout the series and the rest of the playoffs and all future NBA seasons. So to summarize, the problem is that refs just call way too many fouls. These excessive fouls, they just lead to so many problems, like players baiting, players complaining, players getting in foul trouble. We see tons of free throws. We see inconsistent calls because they're trying to call everything. And so I wouldn't say the solution is calling fewer fouls, because if you just tell the refs call fewer fouls, that inconsistency will remain. They'll still call some tic-tacs, they'll call some really blatant fouls, maybe they'll miss some blatant fouls. What we need to do is have the refs and NBA just come to an agreement on what is a foul and what isn't, and they just need to reduce the scope of what is considered a foul. You can't have just players bumping into each other be considered a foul, or it's just going to continue to ruin the game and drive fans, players, and coaches crazy. So thanks so much for watching this video. I'm probably going to do a Game 2 review and break down the fouls there if you want to watch that.